Welcome to the Do It Anyway podcast. I am your host, Maria Redman, and I want to welcome you on this episode. I don't know, Ben, are we on 14, 15? Where are we?
You always get me. I think we're on 14.
I think we're on 14. If we're not, then it's 15. Doesn't matter. You're here. You're going to listen to it. We're happy to have you here. So if you are new to this podcast, I want to welcome you and tell you that you can catch it on Spotify, Applecast, or YouTube. And if you're returning, thank you so much for the support and welcome back. I appreciate having you. And I am so thankful for all of the love and support that I've been getting on each and every podcast. It's truly, truly been amazing. So thank you so much for that. Be sure, if you're watching it on YouTube, to like and subscribe. It helps the algorithm and it helps get the message out to other people. So
it is episode 15, by the way.
15
episodes!
I know. I'm on my 15th episode, which is so cool.
Woo!
It may not seem like a big deal to you guys, but for me, it's huge. So we're going to take that. Today's episode, we're going to talk about a big topic called the gut microbiome. But before I get into that, I want to introduce another little concept that we came up with last week, and it's going to be called Find the Flex. So you have to figure out, I'm going to just kind of slide a flex in throughout the entire, podcast. And you've got to figure out where the flex happens and post it in the comment section. And eventually I'll start doing a giveaway when you find the flex. So I feel like it'll be just something fun because everyone's been asking me to flex on these videos. So I figured I would oblige and do a flex, but I'm going to plant it in somewhere on the podcast. You have to find it. And I'll get some comments and then start giving out prizes eventually. So I hope you like it, just to add a little bit of fun and mix it up. And so something new. All right. With that, let's get into the gut microbiome. So, this is a pretty loaded topic for lots of reasons. Excuse me. I think when it first came out and people started hearing the gut microbiome, or some just heard microbiome, I think the masses was probably like, oh my God, another thing to think about, another, woo-woo, whatever is out on the market. A lot of scientists start talking about it. And it became like this new thing. And really, I want to express to everyone that the reason that it seems so new and so big, this is actually one of the most factual things that we need to really be paying attention to. Skip all the new diet trends and all the extra workout trends. The gut microbiome actually is a large source of information that we all need to absorb, whether you are in fitness, or not. This is something everyone needs to understand and absorb. So I say this all the time in other podcasts. Our bodies, we're one unit, right? We're not in pieces. You can't treat one thing. Everything that you do to your body affects the other, right? So knowing that fact, let's talk about the microbiome. What is your gut microbiome? Inside of your gut, there is its own ecosystem. There's tons and tons of microorganisms, and you've got bacteria, you've got fungus. You've got a lot of stuff in your gut going on. Excuse me. These things make up your gut microbiome. In order for your body to have what's called homeostasis, which is just being alive and in its best shape possible internally, you need to have all of the levels in the gut need to be even and working properly. So if not, you're going to have things like severe, bad digestion, poor immunity, autoimmune disorders. It affects mental health. So the stability of the gut microbiome is extremely, extremely important. And I think above everything else you'll ever learn in fitness and wellness, the first thing that you need to understand is that without good gut health, nothing else matters, legitimately. Your gut can't break down any of the nutrients from the foods that you put in if it's unstable. So this is a really, really important part of the process if you want to get in really good shape, if you want to have really great mental wellness, overall wellness is going to be key. If your gut microbiome is in good shape, it'll make it that much easier for you to get into these other classes of pure good wellness. So, the importance of the gut, it's often in science called your second brain. And excuse me, literally, it is definitely the second brain of the body. When I tell you that everything is regulated in your gut, everything is regulated in your gut. So I guess 7 years ago, really, studies started to become a bit more prevalent on what's going on in the gut and why are so many of us suffering from so many different disorders. And this is how it's kind of gotten to popularity. And scientists said, well, let's sit down and really understand what's going on in the gut. And it's been found that actually all of the bacteria in the body, good and bad, have their own roles in breaking down food, creating vitamin B and K, which if you listen to my podcast on mental wellness, you'll know that B and K are really vital vitamins that are critical for mental wellness. So they started looking at all of these different things that are happening in the gut and what they regulate, and quickly found that, hey, I think we've been missing the mark the whole time. We haven't really been treating the actual disease. We've been kind of putting a Band-Aid on everything. Oh, you've got thyroid issues, we'll give you thyroid medication. Or if you have lupus, we'll give you medications for lupus, et cetera, et cetera. You're depressed, we'll give you antidepressants. Well, what they're finding is that, of course, they never cure the issue. The issue is really inside of the gut. So that's why this is extremely important to kind of really get to a sense of balance. When it comes to your digestive health, if you don't have enough good bacteria inside of the gut, when you're eating all of the food that we're cramming in each and every day, you need bacteria to kind of eat it down. The stomach acids do their part, of course, to break it down. And then after that, the bacteria inside of the gut lining, the digestive lining, starts to work on that food to break it apart so that you can have different nutrients go to wherever that you need them to go. So let's just say from the fitness aspect first. Here it is, you're trying to get in good shape and you're eating nothing but processed foods. There is no way for the gut, once it gets out of balance, to break down that processed food and send the nutrients anywhere, because the bacteria, once they're off, it just becomes a very sluggish system. It almost stops working altogether, which is why most people eat these things and are just gaining weight, getting fatter, and becoming more sick, because the body's not processing it enough to break it down. Literally, it's just pushing it out just enough to get it into the colon so it can shuttle it out so you can go to the bathroom and hopefully start again. But the good bacteria that was in there trying to help break down that processed food has also been rid out of the body. And so you need to be able to replenish those to make the gut back balanced again. But if you don't know, how are you going to replenish it? It's like it becomes like a mystery. You have no idea what's going on in your gut, nor have you been told or taught this. So you have you're just kind of stuck, so to speak. Now, if you're in the fitness space, and this is where it gets a little tricky, right? So let's say you're into fitness, like really heavy, mostly bodybuilding, or even the new social media fad fitness, and you eat a lot of chicken, broccoli, rice, or beef, broccoli, and rice, and that's like the staple of your diet. Sounds great, right? Like on paper, you would say, oh my God, this person's eating extremely healthy. Yes and no. Healthy in terms of they're eating more whole foods, one ingredient foods, which is great for nutrition protocols, right? But they don't have enough other nutrients or any type of fermented foods to feed the gut, microbiome as well. So you also need to get things from food to help feed the gut microbiome. And if you don't, then you need to be able to supplement with those. And so there's a lot of people that are walking around that are also eating healthy, but they still have gut issues because they're not putting in things like, garlic, kimchi, which is a fermented food, cabbage, oh my gosh, sauerkraut, which is another fermented food. Some of these foods and higher fiber foods also help the gut microbiome. bodybuilders or anyone eating that style of diet typically are very devoid of a lot of fiber. And so you also need the fiber to help the gut microbiome. So even if you're in the health space or if you're eating processed food, both people end up in the same boat because the microbiome is off. So that's something that you really, really want to make sure that you're paying attention to. Whether you're eating processed food or whether you're eating whole foods, don't take for granted that you're eating these whole foods and doing your gut some justice, because you're not. The next thing that is really critical about your microbiome is your immune system. And this is so incredibly huge. I wonder, and I mean, there's been no studies on this, and I went and I looked, but I wonder if more people didn't get sick with the pandemic because their microbiomes were so incredibly weak already. I've been trying to look at clients that I had that had really good, well-rounded nutrition plans versus friends that didn't. Some of them ended up with the actual viral infection, but did not get very sick, which was really, really like mind-boggling. And then I was looking at some other people that like it totally trashed. And then there were a few people, including myself, who were in the room with said virus multiple times. I mean, face to face with it, and never got it, and don't carry the antibodies for it either. So I just legitimately never had it. And I wonder if sometimes the microbiome had something also to do with that in staving off, different illnesses. I will say that when I look at, I'm very into, how my clients are feeling and progressing all the time and tracking all their micronutrients well above their macronutrients. And most of them are never sick. Like for years, we can count maybe in a 5-year span being sick once or twice. And so I like to pay a lot of attention to the gut microbiome because I know that it fosters good immunity. And I want to pass that along to you if you're a person that gets sick a lot, you really might need to start looking at addressing the gut issue and seeing what's going on in there, to be able to figure out, okay, am I at an imbalance? And if I am, then I need to go ahead and clear that up so that I can get better immunity out of it. So immunity all the way is like intrinsically connected to your gut microbiome. Don't take for granted, oh, I just got a cold. Well, really, do you have you will come in contact with viral infections, period. It's going to happen. But how your body is able to process it is the big difference. If I get sick with something, sometimes I have a cold for a day and I'm fine, completely fine. It was like it never even happened. So I want to urge you to make sure that you're taking care of your gut microbiome for just your immunity alone. Now, here's the big one with your gut biome. Weight maintenance and weight loss. I have come to learn in reading all of the literature, none of you, myself, anyone included, is going to lose weight if the gut microbiome is unstable. It just cannot happen because all of the body processes to help you open fat cells and burn them, if the biome is off, it just can't fulfill that process at all. It just won't do it. It skips right over it. So if you're a person that's trying to lose, weight, you're going to need to make sure that you seal the gut lining first and foremost. Now, what is sealing the gut lining? If you're a person that has eaten like a lot of processed food over time, you start to get these little holes in your stomach lining, and they're called perforations. Too many perforations, you start to leak the contents of your gut, and that's what leaky gut is. If you have leaky gut, the body is just spilling things out. It has no way of cleaning the body process up. So in order to make the microbiome work well, you're going to have to do something what's called sealing the gut, and that's where a supplement called glutamine comes in really handy. Most of you will know glutamine. It's an essential amino acid. It's great for recovery. but it's also really great for helping to seal the gut. So I always put clients on glutamine supplement to help seal the gut lining, whether I think they have leaky gut or not. I know that it's going to make the gut a lot stronger, and I start there. Once I start there, I always notice that the clients start to move body fat. So if you're struggling with losing body fat, you've, cleaned up your nutrition, you're getting enough micronutrients in as well, but you're still struggling, the body's struggling, then your gut biome is off. And that's what is telling you each week, like you're like, man, I'm sticking to it. I'm doing the food, I'm doing the cardio and the training, and my body's still kind of fighting me. Then you need to go ahead and the culprit is at that point the gut. So looking to the gut for that is going to be critical, or you're not going to lose any weight. Another thing that will happen is because the balance is off, being able to break down the protein won't happen as well. So if you're in there and you're busting your butt and you're really trying to put muscle on, the body's going to fight you to do that as well. Like it almost becomes like a pit. You keep throwing things into the pit and the pit's like, yeah, I don't know what to do with this. It's just going to shuttle it out to the colon best as possible. But putting the nutrients where it needs to go, forget about it. It just will not even do it. So if you're trying to get those gains and you're trying to lose fat, you need to make sure that I would almost beg to say, like in the beginning of your fitness journey, that needs to be priority number one. And I've never taken time to express this to my clients because the knowledge is just in my head. So I know when I get a client, if I see them with stomach distension or, we have, fat to lose and anything, putting on muscle, I always deal with micronutrients in their nutrition plan first and supplementation for the gut because I understand, the benefits and the purpose of it. For those of you who don't have a coach, if you're trying to start your journey and you're putting, okay, I've got my workout together, I have what I want to eat together, I want you to take a moment and look at the nutrition portion and see if you're getting enough vitamins and minerals from that. And if you're not, I want you to start doing some supplementation. Add in the glutamine, add in a probiotic, add in a prebiotic if you're not getting the prebiotic from foods. This way, you make sure that you're addressing the issue at the beginning of the journey so that you have more of a seamless process versus how most of us have done it in the past was, all right, we've got the nutrition together, we got the workout and the cardio, we start, and then 4 months pass, not a whole lot of results is going on, and you're like, what is, we're discouraged. And I see it a lot. I see it a lot. Or you may have hired a coach, and because they don't really understand the science behind that, you're kind of stuck in this pattern. You might have lost 5 pounds and now that was it. You're just stuck. Well, now we need to take a deep dive and start looking at the gut. If your coach doesn't understand anything about the biome, that's okay. Just follow the tips of supplementation and it should be able to get you through that process. But that's something you definitely, and you might want to, think about a different coach too, because honestly, if your coach can't address gut issues and let me say this. If your coach keeps telling you to just take fiber, you got a problem. Which fiber is good. I've addressed this before. Fiber is also one of those things that should be pinnacle in your nutrition plan. But if your nutrition plan also doesn't have a lot of fiber, that's problematic. But if they keep just telling you, oh, take some fiber, and then now we're down to, oh, take, some magnesium citrate so you can go to the bathroom. No, that's not how that works. You need to definitely get yourself a new coach. And again, I talked about this in a previous podcast. If the coach doesn't understand the basic biology of the human body, that's really not a good coach. What that's called is crash dieting and, crazy cardio. That's what you're going to be on, a recipe for crash dieting, crazy cardio, and maybe some, drugs to help do whatever the body is going to fight to do. So definitely you want to make sure that you're getting a coach that knows what the heck they're doing. On the same vein of taking things, if you're a person that also has taken a lot of antibiotics in your life, your microbiome is going to be off 100% because it kills off all the good and bad bacteria inside of the gut, and you need both. So if you're a person that's always taking antibiotics for whatever reason, I would urge you to start supplementing with some glutamine. You're definitely going to have leaky gut. It makes the gut lining very weak, antibiotics do. And start getting on a prebiotic and a probiotic, preferably for probiotic, one that's cold storage. But disclaimer, it's hard to get good cold storage probiotics because they got to get to the store somehow, right? So they're in a truck that's may or may not be refrigerated. And if I'm a business and I know that I have to get my shipment somewhere and a refrigerated truck is going to cost me an extra, $1,000 per, 10 miles, I'm probably going to go with just a non-stored, non-cold storage and just get my shipment there. Let them put it in the fridge when it gets there. And if the people at the store put it in the fridge when they need to. So you get my point. But it's better than nothing, right? There's also shelf-stable probiotics as well, so you can go and get those. Those have started to come a long way lately, so they're just as good. You can utilize those. But definitely, if you're on any antibiotics and have been for a long time, you want to definitely seal up the gut, because I can assure you that it's definitely not going to be good. There is the word for imbalance in the gut is called dysbiosis, and you see a lot of people with type 2 diabetes has this. People with metabolic syndrome have dysbiosis. When it's that severe, if you're dealing with metabolic syndrome or type 2 diabetes, that means it's going to be pretty severe. You need to really backtrack. You need to backtrack big time. When you have dysbiosis, your mental isn't working as it should. So if you're a person that has type 2 diabetes and you really struggle just from day to day, forget about pricking your finger and watching carbohydrates. If you struggle just sitting down at your desk or at home focusing on things, go to the gut. Fix the gut 100%. Like, fix it. And if you fix the gut, your A1C numbers will come back in check really, really quickly. I have done this. I work with a lot of type 2 diabetics, and unfortunately, the doctors are not going to even recommend or send you to go see someone about gut health. But if you are struggling with type 2 diabetes, your issue is going to be found 9 times out of 10 in the gut. If you fix that, you will see your numbers improve drastically. So you do that with, proper nutrition and good supplementation. I have taken people that have been on insulin down to metformin, and off of metformin down to over-the-counter supplements, and are fine now. So can you reverse your type 2 diabetes? In some cases, yes. In some other cases, not so much. It depends on how, much damage has been done. If you're, suffering with metabolic syndrome, that happens a lot from people that are like constantly dieting all the time, or, have anorexia or bulimia. They get this metabolic syndrome. They've really, really harmed the metabolism. And the body sometimes will, at some point, just revert. Anorexia typically not. Sometimes, unfortunately, you pass away is before you go in the reverse of gaining severe amounts of weight, because the body is just like fighting to stay alive. With that disorder, metabolic, yes, heal the gut, but you need to understand that there's going to have to be a whole new pattern of eating that you're going to need to learn to do. And it won't start with all things on the plate, like a protein, veggie and a carb. You're going to have to start really small and build up really slowly. So there's a big process that you'll have to overcome to get back to good, health, just to eat, for the thyroid to function. You might even need to go on a thyroid medication because of it, because it'll be severely damaged by that point. But always, again, start with the gut, because that's where it's at. Now, I already discussed in a past, I did a podcast, I don't remember what episode was, but it was on mental health. And this is one section about that I'm really passionate about, is mental health, because it's crazy to me that all of a sudden, it just seems like all of a sudden, since I guess what, 2018, almost everybody's dealing with mental health. Like it's like crazy. I mean, to the point where we have therapy commercials now. Like it's insane. I never saw such a thing. Like, what the heck is going on? Well, the quality of our food has changed so much, and people are constantly on the go for no reason at all. We as humans have made ourselves busy to go nowhere, and to be quite honest. I mean, busy doing what? What did you accomplish? And say, "Oh, I really didn't do anything today." You said you were busy. What did you do? But we've become so busy that now we reach for everything processed. We're busy and lazy, right? We don't want to cook any of the foods. We're just happy to have something we can slam in a microwave and warm up. Well, looking at it, everyone has disrupted their gut microbiome so much. And because we don't understand the connection between the gut and the brain, and I spoke about this on that podcast, it's called your gut brain axis. And so your brain and your gut are always in communication with each other. If the gut's unhealthy, it does not send over the positive, good feeling, clear thoughts that the brain needs to thrive and make good decisions. And I just believe that we can probably clear up a lot of mental health issues if we take care of our gut microbiome. And right now, there are some studies going on at some very reputable schools where they're looking at the gut and how, if we clean it up, can it really reverse severe anxiety, depression, schizophrenia? I mean, they're really looking at it towards some very, very serious illnesses. And so far, the studies look really, really promising that yes, it is the gut. Because I get it when we talk about trauma, right? Like, I understand that trauma happens to everyone. We've all had different traumas in our life, but we have higher, suicide rates. We have higher, rates of people committing, murder of their families and then killing themselves. Like this whole trend of just craziness, walking up to people and punching them, just things that just seem so far-fetched. We're the same human beings. What changed? Well, our food has changed, the way that we eat things, all of the chemicals that we take in on a regular basis has changed, and it's changing literally the chemical makeups inside of our bodies. So, when someone's bipolar and they have a chemical imbalance, yeah, I'm sure that there are a handful of people that are born with that chemical imbalance. But now there's more people who were fine, 10 years ago, and now all of a sudden they're bipolar. We need to start really thinking about, is our body starting to say, hello, something's wrong inside, and it's throwing the chemical, compounds in the brain off, which is making you react a certain way. And so reading these studies, like I said, they look very promising. And I think that we need to become more proactive and start to clean it up. And that's why I'm sharing this, because I really, really, really believe deep down in my heart that taking control of that gut will lead to a whole lot of progress in so many different avenues. Brain, health, your mental health, physical health, emotional health. I mean, we're talking about really achieving overall wellness here. So I really don't want you guys to overlook, taking control of that and really just sit down and think about what's going on with your body. It's sending you constant signals all the time. I want you guys to start becoming more self-aware to what signals are being sent so that you can start to self-heal. And I know that sounds like kind of woo-woo, right? Like, but our systems are designed to really, we reproduce. We can heal. It's been proven we can heal certain things within ourselves. And I don't think that we've gotten so far away from the thought of how powerful our bodies are if we just take care of it. And we've become so connected and so reliant upon modern medicine. And I firmly believe that modern medicine has its place. Do not get me wrong. But at the same token, Modern medicine is a band-aid. There's never a cure. And there very well could be cures, but because there's money in not finding a cure, why find a cure if I can keep getting paid, right? I do believe that there are some things within our bodies that we can heal ourselves if we just do things the right way. And so I want to urge you all, even if you're not healing it, to take charge and do better with it so that when you go to the doctor, you're not presenting with, 20 different symptoms. Maybe you're presenting with one symptom, right? And so I think that the responsibility to take care of our temple really does start with ourselves in gaining knowledge and applying that knowledge to our bodies to make us better. So there's a few things that I want to share with you on things that you can eat from a natural perspective to help you out. So I talked about from the dietary perspective, prebiotic foods that will help with the bacteria in the gut. You've got garlic, onions. I know some of you don't like onions, but I'm telling you, got to get them in there. Leeks, asparagus, bananas, and whole grains. Now, whole grains, I think you might want to go to organic whole grains because we know we have a lot of GMO here in the U.S. when it comes to whole grains. So I would say put in high quality, of the higher quality of these items, I would say put in for your prebiotics. For your probiotic foods, these contain live bacteria, which is very beneficial for the body. You've got yogurt, something called kefir. When it comes to the dairy, I'm always a little bit torn. Dairy is great, has shown to be great for the body, and we all love a good cheese, right? But I'm always torn because at the end of the day, when I think about it, we're the only mammal on the planet that will drink milk from somebody else, from another animal. Like, it's the weirdest thing to me in one regard. But then again, like, cheese is like, man, cheese is really good. So be sparingly with the dairy is what I guess I'm getting at. But you've got your dairy. You have your sauerkraut, which is fermented, kimchi, miso soup, and then kombucha. There was a big kombucha craze that went on. I can't remember. I guess that was like 2014, 2015, and maybe it's still going. But kombucha actually has come a long way. If you tried it back then, it was like, ugh, this tastes like butt. They've come a long way. So you should get into some of those. They taste really good. But don't start drinking kombucha every day. That too much of a good thing is bad as well. So watch out for that. But those are your probiotic foods. Then you want to have some fiber-rich foods, right? So you want to have your fruits, your vegetables, legumes, black beans, kidney beans, those are your beans. And again, healthy grains, but we, get non-GMO. These all support the good bacteria that are going to be going on in your gut. I would definitely say have that supplement that I feel like for a multitude of reasons, and I spoke about this in my supplement podcast, omega-3 fatty acids, critical to gut microbiome health, critical to other, things in the body as well. So supplementing with that, it has an anti-inflammatory property that's going to bring down any inflammation systemically to include the gut. So that's a good one to take. Then you've got vitamin D. I talked a lot about vitamin D and mental health and having a large amount of vitamin D that are inside of the gut that sends it straight through the gut-brain access to the brain. So make sure you've got your vitamin D in there. And last but not least, definitely taking your glutamine. So definitely get your glutamine in there because that's going to be important. I would say if you're a person dealing with glutamine, take about 10 grams a day. That's going to be beneficial.
Hey, Maria, I have a quick question for you.
Yes, Ben.
What about papaya? Have you heard anything about like papaya seeds and papaya, just the fruit in general?
Papaya fruit is actually an amazing fruit. Some people don't really like the flavor of it, and I think that's why it doesn't get a lot of play. but it is rich in a whole plethora of things. It's so, avocado is a superfruit. Papaya is also a superfruit. That is great for anti-inflammatory properties. It holds a whole host of different vitamins. I mean, a slew of them that you can take. It's very, very good for gut health as well.
That's
very soothing. Papaya is very soothing to the gut.
I saw a video, and it was this old Jamaican man, and
Yes.
he was like,
Probably Dr. Sebi.
he took all the papaya seeds
Seeds
and
out.
put them in a
blender?
cup. No, he said you don't bite, you swallow them
Whole.
whole.
He's old school.
But
yeah.
I was just curious. He was literally saying that the parasites or anything that's in your body, it's like a magnet.
It will leach to them.
Yeah.
And yes. And then you will, because the way that the seeds are designed, you won't, it's almost like corn. You know how sometimes you poop out corn?
Yeah.
Same premise. But everything that was bad inside the body sticks to the papaya stringies. It's the strings that are in between the seeds.
Oh, wow.
And you can rid the body's waste. That's old school island stuff.
Okay. All right. No, I literally, once I saw it, I was like, I need to try this.
Yes.
I mean, because they know what it. They know.
So, yes. And so, it's funny that you bring that up, because sometimes I don't want to get into like island trade or like Native American medicine or even Chinese medicine, but these things are very good natural uses, for the body. And that's a very good example of one. Like, you'll see people watch them like, oh Lord, this guy's crazy, told me eat the seeds. But there's actual truth to that. Again, though, why doesn't medicine recognize it, right? Well, because, one, everyone have to become a papaya farmer, number one. So there might not be a lot of money in that. But the truth of the matter is, there isn't a lot of money in it, right? If I can keep you on a string coming back month after month and get my kickbacks month after month, well, that seems more beneficial to me, especially if I'm still paying student loans and my malpractice insurance. Papaya might put me out of business.
Yeah, because you can grow that outside for
right,
for free.
Five papaya. I can prescribe 5 papayas, and now I don't see you ever again.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? So, but yes, papaya, very good. That's a very good ad. It's definitely. I know it's one of those unpopular tasting fruits, but actually, if you make like a really good fruit salad or a smoothie or mix it in, and you can still put the seeds in there whole if you want to. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, thanks Ben for that. That was pretty cool. Other things that are great for keeping the gut calm: reduce your stress, right? If you're experiencing stress, try to reduce your stress as much as possible. I know this sounds like a broken record, but you know what? Exercise still, again, reigns supreme. So, again, doesn't have to always be in the gym. Is getting in the gym great because it's been shown that having muscle mass has been proven to be better for longevity? Yes, but if you're just getting started, just get up and get moving, right? Exercise right now is exercise, so get moving. That will help the gut. Avoid the use of, antibiotics if you can. If you can't, of course, you need it medically. You have to take it, but also take things to be helping the gut in addition to your antibiotics. And limit your processed foods and sugars. Sugars are also like, a big killer to the gut microbiome. It can only take but so much before it gets out of whack. So those are some of the things that, you can do to help clean up the gut and get well. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about, right? Like fostering the wellness. Don't forget that this is the second brain of the body, and it's actually the most important brain because it's been proven now that your brain up here can't work very well without that brain. So take care of your gut microbiome. If you're just starting your journey, do a deep dive on getting into that, and make sure that, you go ahead and you really pay close attention to every ounce of that entire process. And it will make your weight loss and wellness journey that much more smooth. If you're dealing with mental health issues, again, attack the gut because that's where it's at. So that's what I have for you guys today on the biome. I tried to make it a little bit more simplified, not get sciencey with it because it can get pretty over the top with the science stuff. I just wanted to make it really simple and edible for all of you. And that's what I have. So thank you for joining me on another episode of the Do It Anyway podcast. And be sure to check it out on Apple, YouTube, and Spotify. And make sure you mash the like button and share it. and subscribe to the YouTube channel for another podcast each and every week. And I'll be adding in some other things on the YouTube channel here shortly, and expanding quite a bit because people are asking me about my sporting endeavors and all that good stuff. So we'll be sure to add that as well. And with that, I am out here. You guys out of here. You guys have a great weekend. Peace.